Welcome back to the channel and another little car maintenance video. Just taking the scuttle panel off this Fiat 500 to get to these top bolts on the front suspension, the front shock absorbers. Technically you could get in with the scuttle panel in place, but it was a bit tight and the thing was filthy behind here, so I thought it's a good opportunity to give it a good clean up. So here's a quick before shot. We'll have a look when we're done. So here's a nice after shot. I've just changed this side of the suspension, still got this side to do, so I'll clean up that little top mount when it's off. But there you go, looking quite a bit cleaner in there now. I've just done this side. It's a pretty straightforward job. There's a couple of minor little things that I thought were worth mentioning. I did look at a couple of videos online before I tackled this job. Obviously these are your two main bolts that have got to come out. You've got to take off the drop link there and then the top mount here. This is where it's slightly complicated. I'm going to show you on the other side. If you can see, there's a little bit of a gap here. So the cutout in the car is oval, and so is the actual underside of the top mount. So there's a couple of little things that offset, and the orientation of that's quite important, I think, when you put it back together. So I'm just going to go into a bit of detail with that when I take the other one apart, but other than that it's pretty straightforward. There's other videos that show you how to get them on and off, so I won't bother filming that bit. But this side's nearly ready to go now. Just got to knock that last bolt out, it's all loose, everything else is off. So when I got that off, I'll show you what I'm talking about in terms of getting the orientation of this top mount right when we put it back together. Right, so I've got the strut off. I just wanted to show something. There's this shelf here, and it literally is a shelf. Look at all the muck that's inside here. It's ridiculous. It seems like a bit of a design flaw, because obviously all the dirt collects in here. You can't really see it or get to it very easily, but something I'll be paying attention to in the future is making sure we don't let too much muck build up in there. I'm going to get another little wire brush, clean that out. I'll blow it out with some compressed air, but you can see how much dirt is just built up in there over the years, and it is literally going to be a little bit of a rust trap there. So look, you could grow plants in the amount of soil in there. It's ridiculous. So probably a bad idea that Fiat, but there you go. We'll get it cleaned out and hopefully avoid any future issues. I'll just put a bungee cord around the brake disc just to stop the drive shaft from pulling out the gearbox while the strut's not attached. So I'll get to work disassembling and reassembling this with a new shock absorber. So this is one of the things I wanted to point out. This is where the shock absorber attaches to the hub assembly. So if you follow that up, you've got this little divot in the spring plate there, and then coming up, these two little notches in this top mount are kind of in line with that. So if you turn it sideways, you can see that top mount does not sit square. It's all a bit wonky. So I think it's important that that goes on in the correct orientation. Then if we stand it up, you can see this part of the top mount here, it's got this oval shape to it, and this kind of arrow here points towards the back of the car. So if you look at that, that's going to be in line with the hub assembly. That arrow there is pointing backwards, so this part sits in the front of that area there, which is why you can see you've got a little bit of a gap this side, because effectively the round part is sitting towards the back of that thing. Now obviously there's a little bit of play and a little bit of float in there, but you've probably seen me take one of these apart before if you've watched the Yaris video. So you've got a 27mm nut on here, 6mm Allen key to hold it. Same process, spring compressors, take it apart, put it back together with the new one that we've got there. Make sure the orientation of the spring sits into the bucket nicely there, and you're away. Refit it to the car, job's a good one. I just wanted to point out that there is this alignment thing going on in that orientation there, which I think is quite important, which I didn't see mentioned on one of the other videos I watched, so I thought it was worth pointing out. Right, I've got that part of the top mount off. That's your 27mm nut. You can see it's got a little shoulder on that, so that sits down inside that rubber part of the top mount, so it contacts with this. One other thing worth noting is on your top bearing there, you've got a load of loose balls. Dead easy to lose them if you're not careful how you take this off, so keep that in one piece. Again, checking that orientation. We've got those two slots there are basically in line with this bit here. They're actually slightly offset to the centre, but that's not where the spring ends. You see, the spring actually ends around the back here. But there you go. So that's got to come off now, and I'll just, while it's off, I'll just quickly clean up that top plate and re-grease that bearing. Right, so there we are, we're all done, bolted back up, nuts have been torqued up. I've cleaned up the threads on this track rod arm and lubricated it both sides, ready to have the tracking adjusted because I know it's going to need doing. Both these struts have been off. My wife hit a pothole in the car shortly before it came round for its service. It needs 2 new front tyres, so I'm going to get the wheels, I've just refurbed the wheels, I'll show you those in a moment. But then I'm going to get the wheels back on, take it for a quick spin to get the suspension bedded back in, get the tyres changed and the tracking adjusted. So these are the wheels for the car. All of this diamond cut area on these like horseshoe shapes, that is all pitted and corroded, so it's not been diamond cut. I've just rubbed it back, given it a few coats of lacquer, so it's like a little mini refurb with the old tyres still on. I've let them down so I can get in around the rims, but yeah, I'm going to pump them back up now, get them back on the car, take it for a spin just to bed the suspension in, and then it's going to have new tyres, get the tracking adjusted, and should be ready for MOT. So hopefully that was kind of some use to you if you're doing this, tackling this kind of job, those little bits of specific stuff. But it's not intended as a tutorial, I'm not a mechanic. I'm just documenting, maintaining my own family vehicles. So this was a little job that needs doing. So if you found that any use, that's a bonus. But thanks for watching, and I shall see you again next time.